Hey everyone, welcome back to the episode of Definitely Not a Podcast with your podcast host, Long Transaction. And we're going to talk about Smake Smalls. As everyone knows, there was a really big fight this weekend with Jake Paul, undefeated 3-0 boxer, professional, who has fought Deji, aka Comedy Shorts Gamer, Annie Son Gibb, FIFA YouTuber, then Nate Robinson, former NBA player, and then he actually fought Ben Askren, MMA fighter, really mainly a wrestler. I feel like most people already know this, but yes, Jake Paul is a pretty good boxer. He's trained with professionals for at least 2 years now. He has a background in combat sports, and he's shown that he's just a good athlete overall. None of this is saying that Jake Paul is not a good boxer, but just look at who he's fought. I had this thing pop up on my Instagram feed from SportsCenter. SportsCenter is supposed to be the flagship company news broadcasting for sports, and it's talking about how Jake Paul TKO'd Ben Askren in the first round. Did anyone see Ben Askren at the weigh-in? He looked like the Hobbit. The little amount of training that he must have done for this, I can't even comprehend. He probably put on the gloves and boxed a little bit, but he's never been a boxer, even though he's fought in combat sports for over a decade. He was always a wrestler. He had a wrestling background. He would just take you to the ground and wrestle you. So some people are like, you know what, Jake? You've done it this time, bud. You beat a fighter. Yeah, he beat someone with combat sports in their past, but he's not a boxer. I hate to be the guy who's like I'm the drunk guy at Buffalo Wild Wings who's like, you gotta hit him with the left hand, and then, if he had a better chin and cardio, he would have won. I don't want to be that guy because pretty much Oscar De La Hoya and the entire commentating staff for that event, I don't even know what you call it. I just call it the nightmare. They did that pretty well. I'm pretty sure Oscar De La Hoya was on several substances. So I'm not going to be that guy, but if you look at Ben Askren and how he fights, I don't even have that much of a boxing background. I've watched it for like 5 years, but I'm not a huge boxing guy, okay? But even I can look at this and be like, I don't think that's how you're supposed to do it. Jake Paul, he's got better technique, but even still, I'm like, I don't think you're not the same level as a professional boxer who should be getting highlights on ESPN or mentioned in the same breath as like some of these amazing boxers. The whole thing is just this weird cash grab, and everyone realizes it, but no one seems to really care, and people are going to keep paying for it. And I don't understand, because it's just so obviously not that much of a spectacle in a professional sense. It's just so amateurish, but everyone loves it. This is the version of if a YouTuber did something, it would be this. YouTubers like to go and see something that is done professionally, whether it be Fortnite, whether it be music, whether it be boxing, and then they go, hey, I can do that too. And then you get what you see here, where it's this, yeah, this resembles boxing, yeah, this is Jake Paul rapping, yeah, this is Logan Paul playing Fortnite, but it's just really bad, and it's not nearly to the same level as these other people who spend their entire life dedicated to this one thing. YouTubers have always been guilty of trend hopping and just going, oh, that's popular? Yeah, let me try my hand at that. And you know what? Fair play. People want to trend hop, that's cool. But don't trend hop and then be like, yeah, I'm a professional. I'm pretty much the best boxer ever. Jake's done this weird thing where he circumvented the route where boxers usually have to cut their teeth fighting just a bunch of random people and up-and-coming boxers in like shady back alleys basically, or home rings, and then they eventually get like 15 knockouts. Or you're someone like Gennady Golovkin who has like 400 amateur fights and never lost, and then he finally gets his shot. Jake has circumvented that, and he's become primetime television, sort of, if you want to call it that. He's become the talk of the town, and he's just fighting random guys who are like, oh, I'll get paid how much? If you want to know my honest opinion, I believe this is a conspiracy, and it is rigged. And Ben Askren and Jake Paul are just trying to get into the crypto space mainly through NFTs, non-fungible tokens, because I got a damn advertisement for that one. I don't know why I'm Minnesotan now. I got an advertisement while watching this thing talking about make this your NFT, get a chance to buy an NFT version for the Ben Askren and Jake Paul fight. I'm like, what? I don't want to remember this at all. Why would I want to pay money to remember this? I really do respect Jake because he, as I said, circumvented the whole thing and didn't have to get CTE before getting, even a sniff at glory. But at the same time, anyone with eyes can look at this and be like, this is garbage. This is not good. This is reality television, but then boxing. Even the camera work was like reality television. It wasn't a static camera with occasional cuts to the guy at the side who's holding the camera where you can see up close action. HBO is really good at showing boxing matches because they would have really good camera work. This camera work would randomly cut to other cameras that they then have, like the sideline camera that they use for the Champions League where it's really, really high definition and it looks cool, but it's completely out of focus. And they would do it during the middle of the game. I called it a game. During the middle of the match. Then they also had the referee with a GoPro, but it's on his stomach. And then they cut to that a couple of times. And I think even by their standards, the production crew was like, you know what? We don't have very high standards at all, but even this, we can't really keep going back to this. And now Dillon Danis is going to try to fight Jake Paul. It probably will happen. I really don't know much about Dillon Danis. I looked at his Instagram, and he seems like he's also annoying. So when you pit the two annoying people against each other, I don't really know. At least with Ben Askren, you had Ben Askren who is kind of annoying, but you can sort of root for him because he's kind of a bro. And then he's much better than Jake Paul. So everyone is at least rooting for Jake Paul to get beaten by Ben Askren. He also looks like everyone's dad, so, there's that going for him. But with Dillon Danis, he is basically a Jake Paul Jr. who actually has more combat sports background and has already what's the fish that goes and finds the big whale and then just hovers around the big whale? It's like a feeder fish. Dillon Danis did that to Conor McGregor already, so now he's going to basically do it to Jake Paul, but in a weirder way. As someone who likes things, especially sports, when they're done professionally, because I'm just in awe of the raw skill and talent, this whole thing is such a farce to me. I'm not saying, as I've already said, that Jake Paul isn't talented. Of course he is. He's a good boxer. He could beat me up. Ha, come get it, Jake. But at the same time, there's such a huge gap between someone like Jake Paul and Canelo Alvarez, someone like Jake Paul and Ryan Garcia, Jake Paul and Lomachenko. I don't know. These guys don't even have the same weight class. I don't even know if Jake Paul cuts weight to get into a same division. I think he just fights at 190. He's 190 pounds. You know who else is 190 pounds fighting in boxing? Like Gennady Golovkin, Chris Eubank Jr., Canelo. They have all fought at middleweight, which is like 160. Jake has 30 pounds. He doesn't cut any weight, but then he just makes people go up to his weight. For Ben Askren, it wasn't that hard, to be honest, but still. Anyway, boys, no one really cares. You saw my bad Valorant gameplay. You know what I want Jake to do next? I challenge you, Jake. Become a professional Valorant player. I want you to do that. If you do that, you will have my respect. You go to Masters, you somehow make your way to Iceland, and then you box as the halftime show. So here's what you have to do. All right? The beginning of it, you have to play a chess match. And then when you win that and you beat Magnus Carlsen, you then play in the champions of whatever it's called for Valorant in Iceland. You win that. You beat 100 Thieves, okay? But then halftime between like the third and fourth match of your Valorant, you have to box Mike Tyson. And then after you beat Mike Tyson, then you finish games 4 and 5 of your Valorant. And then you top it off with a game of Fortnite and you just like build 90s. If that can happen, Jake Paul will have my respect.